Welcome to Soundbreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Lisa Robinson, who is the founder and CEO at Adagio Music Consulting LLC. Lisa, did I pronounce it right? Just want to make
You did
sure.
Adagio.
Adagio, yes.
Thank you.
Adagio Music Consulting LLC. Thanks for joining us today. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, would you please give us a small introduction about yourself, and then we'll dive into it afterwards.
Sure. Firstly, thank you so much, Bob, for having me on Soundbreak. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this. So I have to start with that. My
My
name, as you
pleasure.
said, is Lisa
Yes,
Robinson. I've
yes.
been 30 years in the music business. Wow. With a focus in music publishing, specifically income tracking. I have led income tracking teams at some of the most notable music companies, including HFA, Harry Fox Agency, BMG, and most recently Songtrust. In addition to my lengthy career, I am very active and passionate in community engagement and involvement. I sit on the boards of two nonprofits. I'm very active with my sorority. And lastly, I'm a daughter, sister, mother, wife, and those roles trump any role that I've had in my career. So that's me in less than a minute.
Wow, amazing introduction. Love it. Love it. This got to go in the book of Soundbreaker.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Include it all, less than a minute. Lisa, what really, if we go back to your early teenage years, what got you kind of interested in being in the music and part of the music business? What gave you the influence for you to carve your way into that?
Bob, music found me. I went to
I heard that
Syracuse
before
University.
many
Yeah,
times.
it has. I've heard it as well. I'm not the only one. Music found me.
Yes.
I went to Syracuse University, Newhouse. I wanted to be a sports anchor. So I studied broadcast journalism, and that's what I thought was going to happen right out of college. And I will age myself, but I'm proud of my age. In 1994, I ended up getting a job at a show called The Current Affair. I don't know if people remember that. That was Maury
I
Povich back in
do.
the day.
Yes,
And
I
I was
remember
very
that show.
excited. I was very excited. I was one of my few friends who actually got a job in their industry. But Bob, working there, the hours were crazy. It was just chaotic, but it was a good chaotic. I was young. I was about 20, 21. And what ended up happening is I started learning about rights and clearances. And I said, what is that? What do you mean we have to get permission to use a song? What do you mean we have to get permission or clearance to use a video? And that's, as they say, how it began. I ended up working in rights and clearances for a year and learned about music publishing. And after that job, my career started at Broadcast Music Inc. at BMI. And the rest, as they say, is history. So it definitely found me, and I haven't looked back.
Interesting. You you worked for Harry Fox Agency,
Oh, yes.
HFA.
Who hasn't?
Yes,
Who hasn't? That's a
yes,
rite of passage. It's a rite of
yes.
passage.
It's part of the journey.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And where you created the first income tracking
Hmm.
department. And how
Yes.
did that whole thing work in there at Harry
Mm.
Fox Agency? And were you involved in creating that, that department, income tracking? How did that shape your career?
I have to say HFA of my jobs I've had throughout my career, it was the longest. I was there over 9 years, which in the music industry is considered
Hmm.
tenure. HFA was one of the best experiences I have had in my career. It molded me and taught me how to be a manager. At that time, the CEO was Gary Chergin, someone who to this day I give a lot of credit to the trajectory of my career. He was someone, Bob, who was an accomplice and an ally before I knew who that was. He was the CEO who walked around the office and asked how you were doing, asked how your children were doing, just asked how you were doing, way before it was, PC to do that. And he saw something in me that I had yet to see in myself. And he said, "Hey," at that time I had left EMI Music Publishing, which before it was acquired by Sony, and
Hmm.
it was a changing of the guard. Marty Bandier was leaving for Sony, and I came over to HFA, and Gary Chergin said, "I want you to do here what you did at EMI." And I did it, with the help of their IT team, who I give them so much kudos. They learned the business in order to create a tool that we created to automate the process. At that time, that was unheard of. We were still doing income tracking with pen and paper, Excel sheets. But HFA really, like I said, I can't thank the people there enough. Even now, Michael Simon, who's at the helm, it really, really molded me for future roles. And I am forever grateful, forever grateful.
Wow. Kudos to HFA and the people who
Mhm.
ran it.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. You worked for BMG, and what strategies did you use, in recover, that really find it effective in recovering royalties, you know,
Sure.
while leading the team
BM,
there, BMG?
BMG
Oh,
was,
wait a
was
second.
just,
Unsung
yeah,
Trust. Sorry,
and
Unsung
song trust.
Trust.
No,
We
all
don't want to
good,
forget.
all
So,
good. No, not at all, not at
yeah.
all. BMG was interesting because I had never, when I was at HFA at that time, it was just mechanicals. It was just physical mechanicals and digital
Hmm.
mechanicals. Streaming
Hmm.
had just come on the scene, but we weren't tracking it yet. We just didn't know where to begin with streaming. And this was pre MLC, so we didn't. But when I got to BMG, it gave me the opportunity to track all types of income, including global income. So I was tracking performance. I was tracking sync. I was tracking mechanical. It was a great opportunity in that regard because it allowed me to familiarize myself with all the different income types and all the many revenue streams. Excuse me. I also had a team that was across offices. I had, there were people in LA, there were people in Nashville, there were people in New York. So that also allowed me to kind of spread the wealth, so to speak, and avoid any bottlenecks. But the key strategies, we used were first and foremost collaboration. Working with the other teams. You can't have income tracking without copyright, licensing, and royalties. Those are the admin teams. Those are the key teams of any good publishing company. So working with them, just making sure we were on the same page internally, and then client facing. I had the opportunity, which remains one of my greatest moments so far in my career, to meet Quincy Jones during my time at BMG.
Hmm.
He was a client. I'm pretty sure he still is, and he was the type of client who wanted to know who was looking at his account, not the CEO, not the big wigs. He wanted to know who's in income tracking, who's in licensing, who, when my business manager calls, who is she speaking to when I say, hey, Sol Bosanova, the royalties look off. And I respected him for doing that. And I realized one of the many reasons he's the icon he is. And I respect any artist or songwriter that really looks at their royalties and understands what's going on, or at the very least surrounds themselves with people who do that. BMG gave me that opportunity. Song Trust was a little different in the sense Song Trust business model is more come one, come all.
Hmm.
It's great in theory. It's not deal based, it's not advance based. So whether you have one song that's a hit or no songs that are hits, your works can be registered, your works can be collected. And so you have a high volume. So it was different in that regard than what I've done in the past, which was more deal based. So I did that. I was at Song Trust for two years, and then by that time MLC was up and running, which helped tremendously. But a lot of analysis, a number of claims. But the key strategy, as I said, at any income tracking team is collaboration, knowledge, and dealing with your clients, managing their expectations specifically.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Just, you've been in the income tracking for a long time, or royalty tracking of all
Mhm.
types. You said you worked with all type, with sync, with mechanical, publishing, all of
Mhm.
that, and streaming and sales.
Mhm.
And what is the number one challenge that you find
Mhm.
in income tracking that really, and back then, and I think now, what's
Mhm.
the like number one challenge that they still face the industry
It's going to be
when it
that
comes
D word, the data.
data?
There's so much of it,
I thought you're gonna,
and
data or metadata.
metadata, whatever way you want to put it. We can put meta
Yes.
in parentheses, whatever way,
I
same
was waiting
thing.
for that answer. Just she's thinking like, yes, yes, yes.
It's, Bob, it's so
So
much of it.
crucial. Yes.
Oh, and it's so much of it, and
Yes.
it can be, one thing. I was just speaking to a fellow colleague the other day, and we were joking. You have that one song that has a feature, a featured artist, and is it F slash? Is it feature? Is it and royalties are just going everywhere into to the wrong people, or not going anywhere at all. So the data is just so much, and
Do you
unfortunately,
feel
you
it's
have
still
people.
old? Still, the structure of it is still old, like hasn't
I,
changed? Like everything advanced, but the metadata is still old. Like there's no new technology to kind of say this is the right metadata and that's it. Nobody could
I
change it.
mean, you
You
have
came
people,
across songs where it had two
yeah.
different, no, three, four different
Oh
metadata.
gosh, yes, yes, yes. The metadata is crazy. The ISRCs are, that unique identifier, right? But when you have people who don't play fairly and go in and add their name to a song, fraud, and then they're able to claim royalties that are not due to them, that's a whole nother thing, right? Once the money goes out, it's kind of hard to get it back, especially when people are not being authentic, and just basically stealing someone else's copyright, which is
And it's been going on for
disgusting.
years,
And
and
oh,
nobody
for
could.
years, for years, for years. So I think it's getting. You have more companies, like you have, Janisha Jones, who was one of your previous guests. She's a colleague
Yes,
and a friend of
amazing.
mine.
Yes,
Yes, she's a technologist, as she says, and I love that. And she's getting involved in the data, and I know other people are as well. But it's just so much. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think, what do they say? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a
one
time.
bite at a time.
It's
Yes. Was it Ralph
Baby
Lauren said it in his
tortilla.
book?
Yeah,
In his
yeah,
book, yeah,
yeah.
Ralph
See, right,
Lauren. Yeah.
right. Yes, yes, yes.
I read the
So
book.
it's the same
Yes.
thing. So I think it's gotten better throughout the years. I really do.
But
But
there's
it's
one thing that didn't
mhm,
change, even if it gets
yeah.
better. It's all separated.
Oh
The
yes, all
composition,
separated. That
the
right.
actual metadata, or the data,
Hmm.
or the kind of, yeah, the metadata itself,
Sure,
the
sure.
producer, writer, composer,
Hmm.
artist, song, title, production, all that genre, subgenre. And then you have the ISRC code. They're all separate. It
And
doesn't matter where
and
you were store it, because it could be changed. I could get an
exactly.
ISRC code tomorrow, a new one.
Exactly. And add the income tracking element to it. You said what we found challenging in income tracking is we typically are looking at a benchmark. So if someone comes to us and says, "Hey, I had 500,000 streams," and we don't have the data, whether we use Luminate data, whether we use MLC, that's outside of the system too. So there's no system that where everything is together. You have this what you call, the third party data. It would be ideal to have that all together. And I know many income tracking teams are doing that now, but that takes a
But
risk as well. You're now taking someone else's data, putting it in the system.
but the
You're
problem
taking
is
your
it's
data.
changeable, because it's
Yeah,
changeable. It's changeable.
exactly. It's exactly.
Do you
It's not
think
static.
blockchain will help kind of reshape that, or no?
I don't think so. I know,
No.
there's the B word. I don't know. As I said earlier, I started doing income tracking old school, pen and paper, Excel, and
Yes.
I think that helped me because I was able to get into the nitty gritty of it and
Yes.
really see,
Yes.
the
Yes.
shares and
Yes.
seeing if decimal places were off or what have you. And that helped me when we eventually tried to make it like we did at HFA. We did do it. We successfully automated the process, but still, you still need that human intervention. You still need someone to look at it. You still need to make sure T's are dotted and I's are dotted and T's are crossed. You still have to do that. So, yeah, we just got to keep up with it. We just have to
Yes.
keep up with it. But I think technology can help, but will it eviscerate every problem, resolve every problem? No. And that's what good people are for.
Yes.
No.
Lisa, from one end to the other end. Now,
Hmm.
you got involved with Downtown Music Holdings,
Sure.
and you went to the other side of it. You were the vice president of community and social engagement. How did that all came about? This kind of transition from numbers and tracking and royalties, and that's a whole world on its own. Even to understand it, you
Yes.
need to literally. You went to I would say you have a PhD in royalties, which
Okay. I
has
like that.
so
I like
many
that.
elements. Yes,
I
I
like
would
that. I
call it a
like
P.
that.
You did. You earned it. You literally earned it. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. I
Yes.
like that a lot. Well, I have to thank Andrew Bergman, the CEO of Downtown Music Holdings.
Yes.
I was at Song Trust for a couple of years under Molly Newman, and just things were changing. The world. Well, I don't want to say the world was changing. I mean, the murders of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. That wasn't the first time we've seen Black people or people of color being killed. However, we had this racial reckoning in 2020, right? And now it's recorded and it's in people's faces. Then here comes the pandemic. So everything was just magnetized, right? Or, is that the word? Maximized, I should say, right?
Yeah.
And Andrew Bergman, being the thought leader that he is, said to me, he saw what I was doing outside of work. He saw I had an organization, Lisa's Living Room, which I know we're going to talk about. He saw what I was doing
Yes.
with my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. He just saw what I was doing outside of work to keep my
Hmm.
peace. And he said to me, I want you to do at downtown what you do outside of work. And I said, what? And he said, build community. And it's like, okay, can build community. We have opcos all throughout the globe. It's a pandemic.
Hmm.
Thank you, Andrew. No pressure, no pressure. And I came into the role, and it wasn't, I don't want to say DE&I because it wasn't really that. It was more just making sure employees across all our opcos had some sense of community, whatever that was. One of the biggest parts of the role was leading the ERGs, the employee resource groups. The first one of which I was one of the founders of Black Power in Music.
Hmm.
And again, it was just Andrew's vision to have this role and to try to make things better. But with those roles come a lot of challenges.
You
It can
know,
become performative.
yes. It's funny you said that to me, that when you're working at Harry Fox and you're working at downtown, and you said and I asked you how you started in music, you say music really found me. And it seems like because of your positive energy and your work and your knowledge and your talent, people found you. As the
Totally
head
agree.
of Harry Fox came to you and asked, and he said he approached me, and the same thing happened to Andrew Bergman at downtown. They also approached you, so it's pretty
Totally. Yes.
interesting. Yes, pretty
Yes.
interesting.
And I'm
Very
glad you said
inspiring, I
that.
would say.
It
Very
is.
inspiring. Yes,
And before we got on, we were recording. I said to you, I've had
yes,
a love hate with this
yes,
industry. But I have to admit, and I say this on any panel that I'm on and I'm given the
yes.
opportunity, I have actually had more men be my allies and accomplices than women in this industry, which is, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. But I agree with you when
I know
someone
what you mean.
finds me,
Yes,
when someone
yes,
finds me and they mean
yes,
well,
yes.
I'm going to take them up on it. And yes, definitely I benefited from Andrew having this vision. Unfortunately, it didn't last and the company's changing and I was laid off. But with that said,
Were you
that's now
there
different.
before they bought CD Baby or after?
Yes. Yes, I was there before they
Before.
bought
Okay, CD Baby.
CD Baby.
Yeah, and then
But
what's his name came? Tracy. That's right.
yes, Tracy
Yes,
Maddox, who's no longer there
Madison.
either. Tracy, someone I used to speak
Yes,
with every month.
amazing. Had him on the show. What
Yeah,
an amazing
yes,
guy.
yes, I
Amazing.
saw, I
Yes,
saw, I
yes,
saw,
yeah, yeah.
I saw. But it's now giving me an opportunity to do something else, and that's which I know we'll talk about Adagio Music Consulting. It's allowed
Yes.
me to do another venture. It's also allowed me to rest. I'm tired. I've been doing this a long time. I'm very, very tired.
Well,
So I've
listen,
been resting.
let this be a great inspiring lesson for all the women, young or old, doesn't matter how old you are, you know, that you're a great example because as you said, it's not about anything else. Don't let any negative thoughts or any negative influence,
Mhm.
you do the work, you do the right
Mhm.
things, good luck will find you. As
Yeah,
you've been
yeah,
found by so many founders and
yeah.
leaders in the business. It's not about anything else in life.
Yeah, and
Amazing. Great
I just want
inspiration.
to add to that too. Just as you were saying, people who listen,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
also have to surround yourself with a good squad. I have very
Always.
good people
Yes.
in my life. Like I
Yes.
said, I'm a
Yes.
wife, a mother, a daughter.
Yes.
I have a very good squad that has supported me regardless of
Yes.
what my job title is, and that's I can't say that enough. How important that is to your
Well, that's
mental
because
health.
that's come
Yeah,
by choice. So you made the right
Mhm.
choices. Who to connect with and who do you surround yourself with. So that by choice.
Exactly,
So you make the right
exactly,
choice in life. Yes,
exactly,
absolutely.
exactly.
What an amazing interview so far. Absolutely. Let this
Thank
be a
you.
soundbreaker, please, for our listeners and viewers. Lisa Robinson, lead the
Thank
inspiration
you.
poll today.
No
Absolutely.
pressure, no pressure.
No pressure. Lisa, also let's talk about you one of the founding members of Black Power in Music.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Tell us about that for us.
First ERG, Employee Resource Group or Affinity
Yeah.
Group, as some people know it as, at downtown. Also
Yes.
during, founded during 2020, the
Hmm.
racial reckoning. My Black colleagues, at downtown, we knew it was necessary for us to come together. We wanted an opportunity to just be there for one another and know that we understand that this isn't new to us. Seeing a cop put his knee on a Black man's neck is not new to us.
Hmm.
Microaggressions weren't new to us. One thing that at downtown, which they did, and I thought this was very, again, forward thinking of them, is with Lisa's living room. The day, I don't know if you remember when they did the show must be paused. and they had Tuesday and everything went black and the music
Yeah.
industry essentially shut down, Lisa's
Hmm.
Living Room used that as an opportunity to just have a roundtable discussion almost, and just discuss how we're feeling as people of color, specifically in the music industry. And the
Hmm.
stories that was shared, I had people later say to me, I was living on a bubble. I didn't realize that, or I didn't know that. Um,
Hmm.
so getting back to the ERG, it was just very necessary to have a safe space within the confines of a job, that sometimes people don't get it, or sometimes people don't remember that what goes on outside of these walls affects how we operate and maneuver
Hmm.
inside of the walls. So I'm very proud of the work that the co-founders and I put into place. Um, at BPM, my understanding is it's still up and running, and yeah, it's one of the things that I am proud of.
Yeah. And also, you were, plus last year, you were on the Billboard Women in Music executive list again for 2023, which I'm sure it influenced your path in the music and your career in the music industry. Congrats on that. Maybe
Thank
a
you,
year
thank
later,
you,
but hey,
thank you,
it's
thank you.
never
Oh,
too
good. I'll
late.
take it. I'll take my
Yes.
flowers.
Yes, yes. You know what? Let's talk about Lisa's Living Room for a minute. I know
Sure.
you
Yes.
mentioned it. I would love to hear
Yes.
about it, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers on Soundbreakers.
Yes. Yes. Lisa's Living Room. Well, similar to it's funny how my path is just kind of working out. Similar to starting Adagio Music Consulting after being laid off from downtown, I
Yeah.
started Lisa's Living Room after being laid off from BMG, and for no other reason than it was my thank you to the sister friends in my life who were supporting me when I was going through something that I just couldn't wrap my arms around. It was my friends from college, my sorority sisters, my neighbors, friends I've made throughout the years at different jobs. And I said to myself, what would I do if I got all of these women in one place, in one room? And that's what I did. And it started before the pandemic. We had our first meeting at Sony Music Publishing. Go figure. That's where I started income tracking when it was EMI. So Alicia Felix Huey, who reports to John Platt, who's doing amazing things in the space. They both are, allowed us to meet there. And the rest, as
Hmm.
they say, was, history. We started meeting once a month, every Thursday. But then the pandemic happens. And then we decide, okay, what are we doing? And I should say, when we were meeting, it was just to support one another. It was to talk
Yes.
about whether it was something that went on at your job, whether it was, hey, did you ask for a raise yet? I'm looking for a realtor. I'm looking for a lawyer. We just wanted to support each other. And then the pandemic hits, and it's like, what do we do now? So instead of having meetings in person, of course, like everyone else in the rest of the world, we went virtual. And in doing that, we were able to leverage the virtual space and start having events and programming where everyone could attend. Although the focus and the programming is for Black women and women of color, we also encourage accomplices and allies to attend as well. And we've had various programming throughout the years. We've had, programming about estate planning. We've had programs about getting your LinkedIn profile together. We've had a virtual wine tasting. We've done it all. We've done it all. And I'm proud to say we're celebrating 5 years in
Hmm.
September, and I'm just proud of it. I call it my fourth child after my kids and my dog. It's my fourth child, and I'm doing it with two other wonderful women who have been my friends for decades, and we're doing it for no other reason than because we want women, especially Black women, to have a truly safe space to go to. We want to be safe. It's exhausting being a Black woman. It's very exhausting,
And
um,
you also
and we
involve
understand
in,
each other.
yes, and you also involve in nonprofit commitments, which is this is one of them, obviously.
Yes,
And
exactly,
yes, and it does, I would
exactly.
say it does complement your career. And how does
Yeah.
it complement your career?
Oh,
I mean, yes.
oh, definitely. Because I'm around women. The thing, it's not music industry based. It's not. We have people who show up who are doctors, lawyers, who work. 30-year-olds. I'm in my early 50s. We have. It runs the gamut who attends. We don't care what your role is. We just want you to, again, that safe space, and again, open to accomplices and allies. So you don't have to look like me to attend. You have to listen, you have to have empathy and respect. And we do get accomplices and allies who can then go back to their spaces, be it work or their neighborhood, and make some changes or have at least conversations. That's the problem, Bob. I feel like we're so scared to have conversations. We're so scared to disagree with one another or agree to disagree. But I think we can agree that our experiences are very different, but they're very much the same too, right?
Hmm.
We all just
Hmm.
want to be happy. I just want to pay my mortgage, pay my kids' tuition, maybe go on vacation once a year with my husband, be healthy.
Hmm.
That's it. I don't want all the other drama. But I know it sounds corny, but we need to do this
No.
together. So when white men
Yes.
are extending their hands to me for no other reason than it's the good thing to do, I'm going to grab that hand and I'm going to extend my hand. I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to be a mentor. I'm going to be there for other people because it's hard. This industry can be very difficult. Life can be difficult, but sometimes all you need is to see people that look like you, or at the very least are like-minded, and know that you got this. And that's what Lisa's Living Room. We say that too. You got this, we got you.
Well, amazing. I mean, definitely, you're a mentor and a great, positive, inspiring example, Lisa. Definitely
Thank
for
you.
other women who
Thank
wants to
you.
carve their way in the industry.
Thank
Um,
you.
you know what? Let's talk about the big elephant, Adagio Music Consulting, your baby,
Yes.
your passion, and your whole thing. Please tell us, what does it represent and how does it impact the industry, and what do you hope for? I'm all ears, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers would love to hear about it.
I love it, and I'm excited to tell everyone about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was, this came kind of out of nowhere. I didn't intend to have a music consulting firm, but I started after I was let go from downtown. Portia Sabin at Music Biz, she had reached out to me. I had been on the board. I had to give up the board seat, but I had worked on the education committee, or I should say, committed myself to the committee. And she said, "Hey, Lisa, do you want to start raising some money for the scholarship?" Sure, love it, love it. Scholarship is one of my passions, and raised a nice, chunk of change, relying on, people I've known throughout the years, my decades long career. And I realized I have a passion not only for recovering royalties, but for raising funds. And I miss income tracking. Those 2 years that I was at downtown doing that role, I was away from income tracking and I miss it. And I'm very good at it. And I
Yes.
said, what can I do to leverage the fundraiser in me and the income tracking in me?
Mhm.
And hence Adagio Music Consulting. We're offering two service offerings. One would be income tracking for publishers, songwriters, business attorneys. As you know, Bob, a lot of, you see a lot of these companies now are sprouting up who have, they're acquiring catalogs, they have royalties department, but they don't have income tracking. And some of them just don't know about it. And it's like, you need income tracking. Royalty collection and income tracking are two different things. And then I have
Correct.
the fundraising portion with which, like for Music Biz, I can help a nonprofit in the music industry space. And we have a number of them now get money, raise money, make the connections, and connect the dots. So that's what Adagio Music is doing. We're officially launching our website on July 31st. I'm so excited. That happens to be my parents' wedding anniversary and my son's birthday. So I thought
Happy
it was
birthday and
just thank,
congratulations.
thank you. I,
Yes.
I just thought it was perfect to have the launch on July 31st. But I'm excited. I'm also nervous because I'm not used to doing, on my own. But yeah, I want to do this. I really want to do this. I want to get back to client interfacing. I miss that so much.
Mhm.
I miss the socialization, and I'm gonna go for it and see where it lands me.
So, Adagio Music Consultant. Is it going to
Mhm.
be .com? Adagio Music Consultant
It is. It's a
consulting.com?
yep. I bought both domains, so it will be yes, AdagioMusicConsulting.com or AdagioMusicConsulting.org. I did buy
Amazing.
both. I did buy both domains. So yes,
So, would you
yeah.
feel technology going to be the leading engine behind Adagio Music Consulting, where it gets involved in royalty tracking? You've done it back in the day on pen and paper, but pretty
Sure.
much you have the, how should I say,
Mhm.
plan. You have the
Yes.
whole plan for it. Like, you know how it
Yes.
worked and what to do. So, did you put all of that knowledge and experience into the tech aspect of it and let technology kind of do the tracking on its own
Yeah.
with your
Well, right.
supervision, obviously?
Yeah, definitely. Right now, there is. I'm gonna be honest. There is no technology because I know how to do it old school. Don't get me wrong. I am going to need to refer to portals at pay sources and look at statements and things of that nature. So right now, we're taking it back to the old school of just,
So
hey,
AI
what's
is not
going on?
involved yet. AI not involved.
Not involved yet. I'm just taking it back to a songwriter reaching out to me or a music publisher, for example, ideal client. Client, maybe they already have an income tracking team or they don't, and they say, hey, Lisa, we have these claims. Can you look into these? Can you help with backlog? Can you help with this special project? So technology is going to play, of course, a role. But again, since I know how to do it old school, uh, we can do that in the beginning. But I'm already in talks with again Janisha Jones, our technologist, about
Oh, she's involved
harmony.
with you.
Well, no, not you. We talk, and there's going to potentially be some collaboration. And I think both of us together, we're forces to be reckoned with. So Harmony, which, is her platform, I'm sure I can utilize it in some way, shape, or form. But right now, I'm just, taking it slowly, just hoping to get some claims in, the fundraising portion of it. A lot of this, Bob, is just old school. Some of it is just getting, sending that email, getting on the phone, having that call and just saying, having that conversation with someone to reach, a resolution. So, but for the income tracking portion, technology will play a role. But right now, it's just going to be just me, myself, and I.
So is it going to be where companies come in? I'm a record label, for example. I come to you
Sure,
and say,
sure.
hey, we're having an issue tracking some of these royalties, because you got neighboring rights and you have all kind of stuff.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is that how it works?
Sure,
Independent artists,
yeah,
small distributors,
definitely.
companies. Yeah.
Yes, I
Okay.
foresee, my focus has been, or my expertise, I should say, has been publishing royalties. I'm not against doing artists, but that's what I have recovered. Although I've worked at publishers and it's primarily been publishing revenue. So I foresee it, just to your point, again, if you have an income tracking team or you don't, or you're a songwriter who just doesn't have the resources or know where to begin, and you got that, you received a statement and you think it looks wrong, you think it looks off, just having even that conversation and managing expectations and letting oh, just because you have 1 million Spotify streams, no, you're not going to get $1 million. Just having those conversations as well. So I just look at it initially, hopefully just getting inquiries set my way. I would love special projects, the ability to help. I remember at BMG, we would do deal valuations and that would be all hands on deck. So then that meant other claims and inquiries were kind of left to the side and not prioritized because they just didn't have the resources. So I'm looking to tap those kind of gaps, so to speak, and assist in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see. I'm going to go for it. I'm relying on my
I love it. I
reputation.
actually like it. This
Yeah,
is great. This is absolutely
thank you,
amazing.
thank you. I'm having
Um,
conversations with people, so yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
yes. Lisa,
Yes.
what's your advice for other young entrepreneurs who really wants to, after they watch this interview, great interview, they're going to be inspired,
Thank
motivated.
you.
I'm like, you know what? Lisa did it, and I'm going to do it. I want to carve my own way, the same way Lisa did. And there is a chance, there's hope. If you do the right thing, you learn what you're doing, you become good at it, people will find you, and good luck will find you.
Sure. Yeah.
What's your advice to these young people, or young women, I should say, that who wants to also follow your footsteps? Do's and don't in the business.
I think, you know, do be kind, but be yourself. And I say that to say is as you can see, I'm very confident. And I'm confident because that's the way my mom and dad raised my siblings and I. It's no shade to anyone else, but that's how we were raised. And that has helped me in my career, professionally and personally, every day. And I make no apologies for that. But I am kind and I am loyal, but I'm also smart. And I would say to especially young ones coming up, and I'll have people reach out to me, know the difference between a colleague being a friend and being friendly. Because sometimes that can come back and bite you on the rear, and it has me. um, but still, be kind, be proactive, be your own self advocate. Now that I'm about to launch Adagio Music Consulting, I'm sitting here and putting together a list of people I want to contact. And I'm like, I know these people. I have these people on cell phone. I have their cell phone. Don't just reach out to people when you need something. This industry, as we know, Bob, it's big, but it's not so big. It's not even 6 degrees of separation. I think it's 3. I think it's 2. Everyone knows somebody. So you want your reputation to be good and speak for itself. But I think just maintain and build your network, and be good to other people. That is helping me now, decades later, and learn your craft. This industry is always changing. I mean, when I started, there was no streaming. I was still tracking CDs. But when streaming came out, it's like, okay, what is this new thing? What should we be doing? Learning. And that's one thing I didn't have coming in this business. I didn't have half the things the youngins, as I want to say, have now. I didn't have music. There wasn't, I don't think music biz, it was norm then, or it wasn't the internet. There's so much they have, so much accessible to them where they can learn and continue to grow, and be
Yes.
mentored. Get a mentor, get a mentor, and know your mentor does not have to look like you. Your mentor or your champion is just someone who has your best interest at heart, that it will make a difference. Because what you want is you want that champion to speak about you highly in spaces that you're not yet allowed in. That's
Amazing.
what you want. That's what
Really
you want.
inspiring.
So,
Yes.
and just lastly, I'm going to say too, be kind to yourself. I'm going to be this is my vulnerable part right here. When I was laid off, I have to admit it shocked me. I was disappointed. I was hurt. I knew it was not personal, but it did dent my ego a little bit. And I had to check myself and realize, you mentioned about Billboard music. That was great. It's a nice to have, but it's not a need to have. It really isn't. And I say that because there are so many women I know who should make that list and don't, for whatever reason. You don't need to be a VP to be phenomenal. You don't need to be in a C-suite to be phenomenal. And there's probably a chance, depending on how you look and who you know, you may never get those titles. But it doesn't matter. You have to decide who you want to be and what you want to be in this industry and after this industry is gone. I had to check myself and say, Lisa, you're not VP. You're Lisa Robinson, as I said, daughter, mother, sister, mentor. That you really have to keep that focus on who you are and what matters to you. Because when that's taken away from you, and it will be, we're all dispensable, right? It will be taken away. Who are you going to be in that moment? So yes. I just want to share that and be vulnerable in that part, because I know too many people who have been let go past few months. And I know people are hurting. I know they are.
Yes. Yes.
But it's going to get better. It will. It always does.
Do you find the music, just a quick question,
sure,
before we wrap up this interesting, amazing, inspiring interview,
sure.
That you. Is it harder to raise money for people in the music business or music startups than other startups that involve outside, in different sectors that involve in different technology? I mean, anything new right now, from what I've been seeing, is a lot of it involving technology. That's what they call it, music tech now. It's no longer just the music business, music tech. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I remember with Spotify, right? They would say they're a tech company, and there were other companies.
Yes.
I just feel like, Bob, it's a great question. I feel like there's so many startups. There's so many people in the music company doing something, whether it's I'm going to help you find your concert royalties, or I'm going to help you get your set list, or I'm going to help you with your admin. It's just so much. It's infiltrated. And I don't, the infiltration, I don't know what makes one better than the other. It's just so much. And then you have some people who have such great ideas, but they're not getting the funding. And they're finding challenges for whatever reason, but I don't know if it's easy. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it's easier, but from the inside,
I didn't say easy. Is it harder?
Yeah.
Is it harder? Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised, because it's just everybody is a founder or CEO of something. And I love it though, because I'm like, yes, you're doing your own thing.
Yeah.
But what's the impact? What is it? Is this just another fly by night organization, or is this something that's really going to make a positive for our songwriters, creators, and also the people doing the work?
Amazing.
So
amazing. Yes.
I think it's harder, because it's a lot out there. It's a lot to go through, but it's exciting too. I think it's great. I love that people are doing their own thing. I love it. Love it. Love it. I love it. It inspires me. I love it.
Well, Lisa, what to look for, I would say, for the next month or this year, this summer, the thing that you mentioned, that AdagioMusicConsultant.com and .org will be up in, I would say, in about 10
July
days.
31st. Yep, July 31st. July 31st. And
so
then
that's what's on the agenda. That's what's coming.
That and Lisa's Living Room. We are celebrating our 5th year anniversary in September.
Yes.
So those are the two things I have on my calendar as far as career-wise, professionally, but very excited about it. And I want to, the support has been amazing. I wish I could even say the people who I've been speaking to have just been making time for me and just checking in on me. It's been amazing. And I'm so appreciative of it. So appreciative.
Thank you for joining us today at Soundbreaker. And please make sure to follow us on socials with an S, and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you and appreciate it. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.